The paper bag tore just as the old dragon reached for it. Apples rolled across the pavement in every direction, followed by cans of soup that clattered and spun toward the gutter. The dragon let out a tired sigh and bent down slowly, his ancient joints protesting with each movement. His scales, once brilliant emerald, had faded to the color of old moss. He managed to grab one apple before his back forced him upright again. Danny had been walking home from school when he saw it happen. Most people in the small coastal town crossed the street when they saw the dragon. Some whispered that he was dangerous. Others just thought he was weird. But Danny's grandfather had taught him something different before he passed away last year. Help people who need it, his grandfather had said, especially the ones everyone else ignores. The boy ran over and started gathering the scattered groceries. He was 12 years old, skinny, with messy brown hair that never stayed combed no matter what his mother did to it. His school backpack bounced against his shoulders as he chased down the rolling apples. "I can manage," the dragon said, his voice deep and rough like grinding stones. But Danny could see the old creature swaying slightly, exhausted from just bending over. "I know you can," Danny said, stuffing apples back into his arms. "But my house is that way anyway. I can carry some stuff for you." The dragon stared at him for a long moment. His eyes were golden and ancient, holding depths that Danny could not understand. Finally, he nodded. "Very well. My home is on the cliff road." They walked together through the town. People stared. A few mothers pulled their children closer as they passed. Danny did not care. The dragon walked with a slight limp, and Danny matched his slower pace without commenting on it. They did not talk much during the walk, just the sound of the ocean waves crashing against the rocks below and the cry of seagulls overhead. The dragon's cottage sat alone at the edge of the cliff, overlooking the endless gray-blue sea. It was small and weathered, with a garden full of strange plants Danny had never seen before. The dragon pushed open the door and gestured for Danny to enter. Inside, the cottage was warm and filled with odd things. Weapons hung on the walls, old and covered in dust. Strange symbols were carved into the wooden beams. Books in languages Danny could not read were stacked everywhere. But it also smelled nice like herbs and would smoke. "Put them on the table," the dragon said, moving to fill a kettle with water. "Would you like tea? It is the least I can offer for your kindness." Danny had never been offered tea by a dragon before. He had never been offered tea by anyone except his grandmother. Actually, "Sure, thank you." They sat at a small wooden table while the kettle heated. The dragon moved carefully, like every motion hurt a little bit. He poured 2 cups of tea that smelled like flowers and something else Danny could not identify. "What is your name, young one?" the dragon asked. "Danny. Danny Foster." "I am called Grandfather Ash," the dragon said, "though I have not been anyone's grandfather for a very long time." "Why do you live alone?" Danny asked, then immediately felt rude for asking. But Grandfather Ash did not seem offended. "Because I am tired," the old dragon said simply. "And because this town is quiet. The people here leave me in peace, mostly. They are afraid of you," Danny said. "Yes, fear is easier than understanding." Grandfather Ash sipped his tea. "But you're not afraid." "Why?" Danny thought about it. "My grandfather used to say that scared people and mean people are usually just hurting inside, and lonely people just need a friend. You seem lonely, not mean." Something changed in the dragon's golden eyes. They became softer, almost sad. "Your grandfather was a wise man. Tell me about him." So Danny did. He talked about how his grandfather taught him to fish, how they would sit on the dock for hours not catching anything, but laughing anyway. How his grandfather always helped neighbors, even when they did not ask. How he died 6 months ago, and Danny still missed him every single day. Grandfather Ash listened to every word. When Danny finished, the dragon nodded slowly. "He taught you well. Kindness is rarer than you might think, especially in this galaxy." "Galaxy?" Danny asked. "You mean like other planets?" "Yes. I have traveled far in my long life. Earth is beautiful, but it is also isolated. Your people know very little of what exists beyond your sky." "What's out there?" Danny asked, leaning forward with excitement. Grandfather Ash smiled, showing teeth that were still sharp despite his age. Many things. Some wonderful, some terrible. Perhaps I will tell you stories if you visit again. Really? I can come back, if you wish. I find I enjoy your company, young Danny. It has been a long time since anyone has shown me simple kindness without wanting something in return. Danny grinned. I can help you with groceries every week if you want. And I like stories. Then we have an arrangement, Grandfather Ash said, raising his teacup. Danny clinked his cup against it. Not sure if that was proper, but doing it anyway, as the sun set over the ocean, turning the sky orange and purple. Danny walked home feeling happy. He had made a new friend, just someone who needed help with groceries and probably needed someone to talk to. He had no idea that the elderly dragon sitting alone in that cliffside cottage was the most famous military commander in galactic history. He did not know that Grandfather Ash had saved trillions of lives across hundreds of worlds. He did not know that his simple act of helping pick up apples would change the fate of the entire galaxy. He just knew he would come back next week, and he looked forward to it. 3 weeks had passed since Danny first helped Grandfather Ash with his groceries. Now, every Tuesday and Friday, Danny would walk up the cliff road after school. Sometimes he brought groceries. Sometimes he helped fix things around the cottage. The garden gate that would not close properly. The loose board on the porch that squeaked. Small things that were hard for old hands to manage. But mostly, Danny came for the stories. Today he sat on the porch while Grandfather Ash prepared their usual tea. The ocean stretched out before them, endless and wild. Seabirds danced on the wind currents, their calls mixing with the crash of waves below. Tell me about the battle of the Crimson Nebula again, Danny said as the dragon handed him a cup. Grandfather Ash settled into his chair with a soft groan. You have heard that one 3 times already. I know, but it's so cool. The way the fleet commander tricked the enemy into thinking they were retreating, then ambushed them from behind the gas clouds. The old dragon's eyes grew distant. Yes, that commander was very clever. He understood that sometimes appearing weak is the greatest strength. The enemy was overconfident, you see. They believed victory was certain. That pride made them careless. And then boom, Danny said, making explosion sounds. The whole enemy fleet was surrounded. Boom indeed, Grandfather Ash said with a slight smile. Though the real battle was not so simple. Many good warriors died that day. Victory always has a cost. Danny sipped his tea, thinking about that. His grandfather used to say similar things about his time in the military, though he never liked talking about it much. Were you a soldier? He asked suddenly. Grandfather Ash was quiet for a moment. Long ago, yes. Before I came to Earth. Is that where you got all those scars? The dragon looked down at his arms where old wounds marked his scales. Some were small. Others were long and deep, the kind that told stories of terrible battles. Yes, I fought in a great war once. It lasted many years and touched many worlds. Did you win? Danny asked. We survived, Grandfather Ash said carefully. Sometimes that is the same thing as winning. Sometimes it is not. They sat in comfortable silence after that. Danny had learned that Grandfather Ash sometimes needed quiet moments. The dragon would stare at the ocean with those ancient golden eyes, seeing things that Danny could never see, remembering things from long ago. Down in the town, people still avoided Grandfather Ash. Danny's mother had asked several times why he spent so much time with the old dragon. Danny told her the truth. He was lonely. He needed help, and his stories were amazing. His mother had sighed but allowed it to continue. She trusted Danny's judgment, and the boy always came home happy. Your garden is growing well, Danny observed, changing the subject. Strange purple flowers had bloomed near the fence, and tall plants with silver leaves swayed in the breeze. Xylarian starflowers, Grandfather Ash said. They only grow on 3 planets in the known galaxy. And those are moonshade ferns from a world with 2 suns. I brought the seeds with me when I retired here. Retired from what? Danny asked. The dragon looked at him for a long moment, as if deciding something. From my duties. From more. From leading others into battle. You were a leader? Like a general? Something like that, yes. Danny thought this was the coolest thing ever. His new friend was not just a dragon who told good stories. He was some kind of alien war hero. That's amazing. Why did you stop? Grandfather Ash's expression grew sad. Because I grew tired of seeing people die. Because every order I gave, every strategy one created, meant someone would not go home to their family. After centuries of war, I wanted peace. I wanted to live somewhere quiet, among people who valued simple kindness over glory and conquest. Is that why you came to Earth? Yes. Humans are young in the galaxy. Your people have not yet learned all the terrible ways that civilizations destroy each other. You still believe in helping strangers, in basic decency. It reminded me of what I've been fighting to protect all those years. Danny felt proud of that, even though he did not fully understand it. My grandfather always said the measure of a person is how they treat people who can't do anything for them. Grandfather Ash smiled, a real smile this time. Your grandfather and I would have been friends, I think. He stood slowly, his joints popping. Cool, man. I want to show you something. Inside the cottage, Grandfather Ash pulled down a long wooden case from above the fireplace. He opened it carefully. Inside was a sword, but unlike any sword Danny had seen in movies or books. It seemed to be made of crystal and metal mixed together, and it glowed faintly with blue light. This is a star blade, the dragon said, forged in the heart of a dying star. I carried it for 300 years. Danny stared at it with wide eyes. It's beautiful. It is deadly, Grandfather Ash corrected gently. But yes, also beautiful. All the most dangerous things are. He closed the case. I have not held it in many years. I hope I never have to again. Can you teach me sword fighting? Danny asked eagerly. The dragon considered this. I can teach you balance, control, discipline. These things are useful whether you ever hold a weapon or not. Would you like that? Yes. So they began, not with swords, but with simple exercises. Grandfather Ash taught Danny how to stand properly, how to move with purpose, how to see the space around him. The dragon moved slowly because of his age, but Danny could see the grace underneath. Could imagine how formidable Grandfather Ash must have been his prime. As the sun set and Danny prepared to go home, the old dragon placed a hand on his shoulder. You have a good heart, young one. Never lose that. Danny grinned. See you Friday. See you Friday. Walking home in the twilight, Danny felt like the luckiest kid in the world. He had a friend who was teaching him cool moves and telling him amazing stories. Life was good. The ship appeared on a Tuesday morning, descending through the clouds like a silver knife cutting through cotton. Danny was at school when it happened, but everyone heard about it within minutes. The whole town gathered in the streets, staring up at the sleek alien vessel as it settled in the field near the beach. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time, all smooth metal and glowing lights. The first real alien ship most people in the small town had ever seen. By the time Danny got out of class, 3 tall figures in dark armor had already left the ship and were walking through town. They were dragons like Grandfather Ash, but different, younger, stronger. Their scales were deep red and black, polished like armor even beneath their actual armor. They moved with dangerous grace, and people scattered out of their way. Danny ran, not away from them, but toward the cliff road. Something in his gut told him these soldiers were looking for his friend, that he reached the cottage just as the 3 armored dragons arrived. They stopped at the garden gate, and one of them spotted Danny on the porch. Human child, leave this place, the largest dragon said, his voice like thunder. We have business with the War Master. War Master? Danny asked, confused. Let him stay. Grandfather Ash emerged from the cottage. But he seemed different now. Taller somehow, even though he was the same size. The way he held himself had changed. The tired old dragon Danny knew had been replaced by something else. Something powerful and commanding. The 3 armored dragons immediately dropped to one knee. War Master, they said in unison, their heads bowed. We come bearing urgent news from the Galactic Council. Danny stood frozen, trying to understand what was happening. War Master? Galactic Council? This was real alien stuff, not just stories. Grandfather Ash sighed deeply. Rise. You may speak freely. The boy is my friend. The largest dragon stood, removing his helmet. His eyes were fierce and golden, younger than Grandfather Ash, but filled with worry. The Devourer swarm has returned. They breached the outer rim 2 weeks ago. 17 colonies have already fallen. The death count is in the billions. Danny saw Grandfather Ash's expression harden. How many ships do they have? Thousands. Maybe more. They're different this time, War Master. More organized. More intelligent. Our fleets cannot stop them. They adapt to every tactic we use. And the Council sends you to me, Grandfather Ash said quietly. After all these years, we are losing War Master, another soldier said, a female dragon with scars across her snout. Without your leadership, entire species will be extinct within months. Hundreds of worlds will burn. I am retired, Grandfather Ash said, but his voice lacked conviction. Retired, the large dragon said, and there was desperation in his tone. While the galaxy dies, is this the legacy of the Great War Master? To hide on a backwater planet while trillions cry out for help. That is enough, Commander Ryle, Grandfather Ash said sharply. The soldier immediately fell silent. The old dragon turned and walked to the edge of the cliff, staring out at the ocean. Danny wanted to say something, but did not know what. His mind was racing. His friend, the gentle old dragon who taught him balance exercises and drank tea every afternoon, was apparently some kind of legendary military leader. The War Master, they called him. And there was a war happening out in space. A real war where billions of people were dying. How long do we have? Grandfather Ash asked without turning around. The swarm reaches the inner systems in 3 weeks, Commander Ryle said. After that, the core worlds fall. The Council has authorized me to say that all charges against you are forgiven. Your exile is ended. Please, War Master, come back. Let us again. Charges? Danny asked before he could stop himself. What charges? Grandfather Ash turned to look at him. In those ancient golden eyes, Danny saw pain deeper than any ocean. After the first war with the Devourers, I made decisions that saved the galaxy but cost billions of lives. I destroyed entire star systems to stop the swarm from spreading. Some call me a hero. Others called me a war criminal. I called myself both and left before the Council could decide which I truly was. The 3 soldiers said nothing. They just waited. Give me time to think, Grandfather Ash said finally. Return tomorrow for my answer. War Master, every hour we delay, tomorrow, Commander. That is my word. The soldiers bowed again and left, their armor clanking as they walked back down the cliff road. Danny and Grandfather Ash stood in silence, listening to their footsteps fade away. You should go home, Danny, the old dragon said quietly. Are you going to go with them? Danny asked. I do not know, but people are dying. People are always dying somewhere, Grandfather Ash said, his voice heavy with centuries of weariness. I have spent lifetimes trying to save them. I have given orders that killed millions to save billions. I have watched friends die, worlds burn, and in the end, I was no hero. Just an old dragon who was good at making terrible choices. Danny moved to stand beside him at the cliff edge. The ocean rolled on forever below them, uncaring about wars and swarms and choices. My grandfather used to say that being brave does not mean you are not scared. It means you do the right thing even when you are terrified. Grandfather Ash looked down at the small human boy. And what is the right thing here, young one? I don't know, Danny admitted. But I know you. You are kind. You are gentle. You teach me about balance and control and discipline. And if they're asking for your help, maybe that means you're the only one who can save all those people. The dragon closed his eyes. You make it sound so simple. Maybe it is, Danny said. Maybe we make things too complicated sometimes. They stood together as the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. Tomorrow, Grandfather Ash would have to give his answer. Tomorrow, everything would change. But tonight, they were just 2 friends watching the ocean, neither of them ready for what was coming. Dawn broke cold and gray over the ocean. Danny had barely slept. He kept thinking about Grandfather Ash, alone in his cottage, making an impossible choice. Save the galaxy and face all the terrible memories again, or stay here in peace while billions died. Either way, the old dragon would suffer that Danny's mother found him at breakfast, staring at his cereal without eating. "You were thinking about your friend," she said, not asking but stating. "Mom, what would you do if you were the only person who could save a lot of people, but it meant doing something that would hurt you really badly?" His mother sat down across from him. She was quiet for a moment, thinking, "I would probably do it, because living with the guilt of not trying would hurt worse than whatever I had to face. But Danny, that is a very big question. What is this about?" "Just something Grandfather Ash is dealing with," Danny said. He was not sure how much he could explain without sounding crazy. "Hey, Mom, my dragon friend is actually a legendary space general and aliens are invading. He is lucky to have a friend like you," his mother said, ruffling his hair. "Whatever he is facing, I am sure your support means more than you know." Danny went to school, but could not focus. His teachers asked him questions he did not hear. His friends talked to him, and he just nodded without listening. All he could think about was the cliffside cottage and the decision being made there. When school finally ended, he ran the whole way up the cliff road. The alien ship was still in the field. Commander Ryle and his soldiers stood at attention near the garden gate. But this time, Grandfather Ash was ready for them. He wore armor now, ancient and beautiful, covered in engravings that told stories of 1,000 battles. The Starblade hung at his side. He looked like something from one of his own stories, a warrior from legend, but his eyes were sad. "Danny," Grandfather Ash said when he saw the boy, "I'm glad you came. I wanted to say goodbye properly." "You are going," Danny said, his chest tight. "I am. The galaxy needs what I know, even if I wish it did not." The old dragon knelt down to Danny's level. "I want you to understand something. I am not going because I want to be a hero. I am going because you reminded me that turning away from suffering is its own kind of cowardice. Your simple kindness, your grandfather's wisdom living through you, showed me that some things are worth the pain. Will you come back?" Danny asked, his voice small. "If I survive, yes. This cottage is my home now. But I need you to promise me something." "What?" "Keep being kind. Keep helping people, even when others turn away. The galaxy has plenty of warriors and weapons. What it needs more of is people like you. People who see an old dragon struggling with groceries and stop to help without expecting anything in return." Danny hugged him. The armor was hard and cold, but underneath he could feel the warmth of his friend. "Be safe. Please. I will do my best, young one." Commander Ryle stepped forward. "War Master, the transport is ready. We should leave now to reach the fleet before the swarm advances further." Grandfather Ash stood, and Danny noticed something. The dragon walked straighter now, moved with purpose. The tired old creature who limped and groaned was gone. This was the War Master, the military commander who had saved the galaxy once before. "Commander Ryle," Grandfather Ash said, his voice different now. "Harder. I will take command of the defense fleet. But I have one condition that is not negotiable." "Name it, War Master." "The boy comes with us." Everyone froze. The soldiers stared. Danny's mouth fell open. "War Master," Commander Ryle said carefully, "we are going into a war zone. We cannot bring a human child. You asked me to return because you need my strategic mind, my experience, my leadership." Grandfather Ash's voice was iron. "I am telling you that I need him. He sees things we miss. He thinks differently than any tactical computer or trained officer. And he reminds me why we fight. Those are my terms. The council will never approve. Then we will not inform the council until we arrive. Do you want my help or not, Commander?" Ryle looked between the old dragon and the young boy. Finally, he sighed. "As you command, War Master. But the child's safety is your responsibility." Grandfather Ash turned to Danny. "You do not have to come. This will be dangerous. You may see things no child should see. I can keep you as safe as possible, but I cannot promise you will not be afraid." Danny thought about his mother, about school, about his normal, quiet life in the small coastal town. Then he thought about billions of people out in space who were dying, about his friend going off to war alone, about what his grandfather would tell him to do. "I am already afraid," Danny said, "but I want to help. If you think I can actually help, then I am coming." The dragon's eyes softened. "You already have helped more than you know." "Very well. We leave immediately. Say goodbye to your mother first. I will explain everything to her. The next hour was chaos. Danny's mother was terrified, angry, confused. But Grandfather Ash spoke to her privately, and something he said changed her mind. She made Danny promise to be careful, to listen to Grandfather Ash, and to come home safe. She packed a bag for him with shaking hands, tears in her eyes. "You are so much like your grandfather," she whispered, hugging Danny tight. "Too brave for your own good." As the ship lifted off from Earth, Danny pressed his face against the window, watching his town shrink below. The ocean, the cliffs, the cottage that had become his second home. All of it getting smaller and smaller until it was just a dot, then nothing. Beside him, Grandfather Ash stared ahead at the stars. "Scared?" he asked quietly. "Terrified," Danny admitted. "Good. That means you understand what we are facing. But I promise you this, young Danny. Whatever happens out there, I'll protect you with everything I have. And perhaps together, we will find a way to end this war." The ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, and Earth disappeared behind them. Ahead lay a galaxy at war, a swarm of death spreading across the stars, and an old warrior's final campaign. And a 12-year-old boy who had helped carry groceries was now part of it all. The war room aboard the flagship was bigger than Danny's entire house. Holographic displays showed hundreds of star systems, each one marked with colors. Blue meant safe. Yellow meant threatened. Red meant already fallen to the Devourer swarm. There was a lot of red, spreading like blood across the galaxy map. Danny sat quietly in the corner while Grandfather Ash studied everything. The old dragon had been silent for 3 hours, just watching, reading reports, analyzing data. Around him, officers from dozens of different alien species waited nervously for orders. Some looked like insects. Others were made of light. One was basically a floating crystal that hummed when it talked. All of them watched the War Master with hope and fear. "This is bad," Grandfather Ash finally said. "Worse than the first invasion. They have learned from last time." "We know, War Master," Admiral Chris said. She was a tall creature covered in blue feathers, her 4 arms crossed over her chest. "We have thrown everything at them. Our best ships, our best weapons. Nothing works. They adapt within hours." "Show me the battle at the 7th colony," Grandfather Ash commanded. The hologram shifted, showing a recording of a space battle. Danny watched as ships fired massive weapons at a dark cloud of creatures. The Devourer swarm looked like a storm of living nightmares. Thousands of organic ships that twisted and changed shape. When the fleet's weapons hit them, they died. But then the swarm changed, and the same weapons became useless. "They are a collective intelligence," Grandfather Ash muttered. "Each death teaches the entire swarm. We cannot win through attrition." "Then how do we win?" Commander Ryle asked. Grandfather Ash was quiet. Danny could see the weight pressing down on his friend. The dragon had faced this enemy before, but that was centuries ago. Now they were stronger, smarter, more dangerous. "We need time," Grandfather Ash said. "Pull back all forces to the barrier line. Fortify every world between here and there. We make them fight for every inch of space." "That means abandoning 32 colonies," Admiral Chris said, her voice pained. "I know." Grandfather Ash's voice was hard. "And I hate it. But if we spread our forces thin trying to defend everything, we lose everything. We consolidate, we buy time, we find their weakness." Danny listened as orders were given. Ships would retreat. Colonies would be evacuated. Some worlds could not be saved and would be left to the swarm. It was horrible, but he could see the logic in it. Save what you can. Protect what remains. Find a way to win. Over the next week, Danny watched the war unfold. He stayed out of the way, observing everything. He saw Grandfather Ash work without sleep, making decisions that would save millions but doom thousands. He saw alien soldiers crying over lost homeworlds. He saw species that had been enemies for centuries working together against a common threat. And he saw the Devourer swarm advance relentlessly, adapting to every trick, every tactic, every weapon thrown at them. In the quiet moments, Grandfather Ash would talk to Danny. "Are you all right, young one?" "I don't know," Danny admitted. "This is so much bigger than I thought. So many people dying. Yes, war is always bigger than we imagine. and the weight of it never gets lighter, no matter how many times you carry it. The dragon looked older now, tired in a way that had nothing to do with age. I brought you here because I thought you might see something we could not. But perhaps I was wrong. Perhaps I only brought you to witness horror. You are doing everything you can, Danny said. Everyone here believes in you. Belief does not stop the swarm, Grandfather Ash said bitterly. The breakthrough came during a strategy meeting on the 8th day. Grandfather Ash was explaining another defensive plan when Danny spoke up from his corner. Can I ask a question? The entire room turned to stare at the human child. Some looked annoyed, others curious. Admiral Chris nodded. Speak, young human. Why does the swarm attack? Danny asked. Commander Ryle looked confused. Because they are destroyers. It is their nature. But why? Danny insisted. My grandfather used to say that even bullies have reasons for being mean. Usually they are scared or hurt. What if the swarm is not attacking because they want to, but because they have to? That is ridiculous, an insect-like officer said. They are mindless killers. No, Grandfather Ash said slowly, his eyes widening. No, the boy might be onto something. They are not mindless. They are intelligent. And every intelligent being has motivation. He turned to his officers. Pull up the long-range scans from beyond the outer rim. Show me where the swarm came from. The hologram shifted, showing the dark space beyond known territory. And there, in the deep black, was something else. Something massive. A darkness that seemed to eat light itself. What is that? Admiral Chris whispered. Something worse than the swarm, Grandfather Ash said, his voice filled with realization. They are not invading our territory. They are fleeing from something, running from a threat even greater than themselves. The room erupted in chaos. Officers arguing, shouting questions, demanding answers. But Danny just watched Grandfather Ash, seeing the gears turning in the old dragon's mind. The War Master raised his hand, and silence fell. We have been fighting this wrong. We have been treating the swarm as an enemy to destroy. But what if we offer them something different? What if we offer them sanctuary? You cannot be serious, Commander Ryle said. They have killed billions of our people. And they will kill billions more if we keep fighting, Grandfather Ash said. But if Danny is right, if they are simply fleeing in fear, then perhaps there is another way. This is insane, Admiral Chris said. Even for you, War Master. Grandfather Ash looked at Danny. It was a child's simple question that made me see it. A human child who helped an old dragon with groceries because it was the kind thing to do. Perhaps kindness is the answer here too. And if you are wrong, Commander Ryle asked, then we are no worse off than we are now, Grandfather Ash said. But if we are right, we end this war without firing another shot. The dragon turned to his officers. Prepare a communication broadcast. We're going to try talking to the swarm. The broadcast went out across every frequency known to science. Danny stood beside Grandfather Ash as the message played, transmitted toward the advancing swarm. It was simple, direct, an offer of peace instead of war. Safe passage to empty regions of space where the swarm could exist without threatening inhabited worlds. A chance to survive without more death. For 3 days, nothing happened. The fleet remained on high alert. The swarm continued its advance, but slower now, as if hesitating. Officers argued that this proved the plan was foolish, that the swarm could not be reasoned with, that they should return to conventional warfare. But Grandfather Ash waited. On the 4th day, the swarm stopped moving entirely. They're doing something, Admiral Chris reported, her feathers ruffled with anxiety. Energy readings are spiking across their entire formation. It could be an attack, or it could be them talking amongst themselves, Grandfather Ash said calmly. We wait. Then a message came back that IT was not in any language they knew. It was feelings, emotions, transmitted directly into the minds of everyone on the flagship. Fear, desperation, hunger, and underneath it all, a question. Why would prey offer help to predator? Danny felt it wash over him, and he understood. The swarm was afraid, not of the fleet, but of something else. Something that had chased them across the darkness of space, destroying their worlds, forcing them to consume and move and consume again just to stay ahead of annihilation. Grandfather Ash closed his eyes, and when he spoke, his words were transmitted back to the swarm. Because we know what it is like to be afraid. Because we understand running from threats too big to fight. Because offering kindness is stronger than offering violence. The swarm's response came faster this time. Confusion. They had never encountered this. Every species they met had fought them, tried to destroy them, treated them as monsters. You are not monsters, Grandfather Ash transmitted. You are refugees, and we can help you. Over the next hours, communication deepened. The swarm was not one creature, but billions working as one mind. They had fled from a region of space where reality itself was breaking down, where something ancient and terrible was waking up. They consumed worlds not from evil, but from desperate need to gather energy to keep running. Grandfather Ash proposed a solution. The galaxy had regions of uninhabited space, areas rich in energy but empty of sentient life. Nebulous, dead stars. The swarm could feed there, survive there, and in exchange, they would leave inhabited worlds alone. The Council will never agree to this, Commander Ryle said quietly. You're asking them to let the creatures that killed billions just go free. I am asking them to choose survival over revenge, Grandfather Ash replied. The swarm is not our true enemy. It never was. We have been fighting symptoms while ignoring the disease. The negotiations took weeks. The Galactic Council screamed and argued and threatened. Species that had lost homeworlds demanded justice. But Grandfather Ash stood firm, and Danny stood beside him. In the end, the Council agreed. Partly because the War Master's word carried weight they could not ignore. Partly because continuing the war meant certain extinction. And partly because a human child's simple question had revealed a truth they had all missed. The swarm was relocated to the far zones, regions of space where they could exist without threatening anyone. It was not perfect. Many were angry. Many felt betrayed. But the dying stopped. The war ended. Not with a final battle, but with understanding. Danny stood with Grandfather Ash on the observation deck as the last of the swarm departed. The creatures that had seemed like nightmares now just looked tired, relieved. They sent one final message before they left. Gratitude and a promise to never return to inhabited space. We did it, Danny said quietly. You did it, Grandfather Ash corrected. Your question changed everything. You saw past fear and violence to ask the one thing that mattered. Why? Such a simple word, but it held the key to peace. Admiral Chris approached them, her expression serious. The Council is calling you back, War Master. They want to honor you, make you Supreme Commander of all galactic forces. Tell them no, Grandfather Ash said without hesitation. War Master, I did not come back to collect medals or titles. I came because I was needed. Now I'm not needed anymore. I'm going home. And the boy, Commander Ryle asked, goes home too, to his mother, to his school, to his normal life. Grandfather Ash looked at Danny, though I suspect his life will not be normal for long. He was right about that. When Danny returned to Earth, he was famous. The human child who helped end a galactic war. Leaders wanted to meet him. Scientists wanted to study him. Everyone had questions, but Danny just wanted to go back to his small coastal town. Grandfather Ash retired to his cottage once more. But things were different now. The Council recognized Earth as a world of strategic importance, not because of weapons or technology, but because humans possessed something unique. The ability to see solutions through empathy and kindness instead of force. Earth became a training ground for diplomats. A place where alien species learned what humans called compassion. And Danny, along with other children like him, became teachers in a new kind of academy. But every Tuesday and Friday, Danny still walked up the cliff road to help Grandfather Ash with his groceries. They would sit on the porch, drink tea, and watch the ocean. Sometimes they talked about the war. Sometimes they talked about nothing important. Do you think there will be more wars? Danny asked one afternoon. Probably, Grandfather Ash said. The galaxy is vast and full of different minds. Conflict is inevitable, but maybe we can solve them differently now. Maybe. You showed an old warrior that strength is not just about knowing how to fight. It is about knowing when not to fight. That is a lesson the galaxy needed. Danny smiled. My grandfather would have liked you, and I would have liked him. He raised you well. As the sun set over the endless ocean, painting the sky in brilliant colors, Danny thought about how strange life was. A few months ago, his biggest worry was homework. Now he had helped save the galaxy. And it all started because he stopped to help an old dragon carry groceries. Simple kindness. That was humanity's gift to the stars. And in a galaxy that had known countless wars, that might be the most powerful weapon of all.